Hi, this is Professor Simeon, your instructor for economic theory and managerial decision making. This is our second week when we will look into business organizations. And by the way, if you find my accent to be difficult, please click the CC button on the bottom right side of the video screen for closed captions so that you can understand the content of this video lecture. So, by watching this video lecture, you'll be able to understand business organization. You'll be able to distinguish between proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. You'll be able to understand the business growth through reinvestments and mergers. You'll be able to understand the variety of mergers and also community and civic organizations. So, business organizations can be classified by proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. A sole proprietorship basically is owned and managed by one individual who receives all the profits and bear all the losses of the business. And also it is subject to individual income taxes. So the sole proprietorship has advantages and disadvantages. As advantages, it is easy to start, it is easy to manage, you have control over profits, you have personal freedom, you have lower income taxes, you have ease of closing the business, and also you have psychological benefits of being your own boss and own your own business. However, some of the disadvantages of sole proprietorship include the fact that you have unlimited liability. It is difficult to raise financial capital. It's difficult to hire qualified workers and stock enough inventory. It is difficult to manage because the knowledge might be limited, the management knowledge. And also, this type of business has a limited life. It stops when the existing owner sells the business or passes away. A different type of business is partnership. What is a partnership? A partnership is a business that is owned and managed by two or more individuals who receive all the profits and bear all the losses. This partnership can be general, when all partners are responsible in management of and finances, or could be limited, that one partner is not active in the daily business but gives money to start the business. And articles of partnerships are documents that spell out how the partners divide up the profits and losses. With partnerships, there are advantages and disadvantages. Some advantages include the fact that it's easier to raise financial capital through bank loans or new partner. It is easier to manage, and partners may combine managerial skills. They have lower taxes, and it is also easier to attract qualified workers. However, there are disadvantages such as unlimited liability, profits are shared, and there could be conflicts between partners, and also it can have a limited life. Another type of business is corporation. What is a corporation? A corporation is a type of business that is owned and operated by stockholders and has rights and responsibilities as if it were a person. So they are organized and recognized by law, and they need permission from the government to function as such. So Permissions include details about stock ownership found in a charter, a government document that gives permission to create a corporation. So you have here an image with the structure of the corporation. So you have the owners. So those are at the top of the corporation, who are the shareholders. And they elect whoever should be in the board of the shareholders. Beneath the shareholders, the owners, you have the board of directors. And this board of directors is elected by the owners, but on their own, they are able to select the president of the corporation. Now, the president of the corporation has to have his immediate people that he works with. And those are usually three vice presidents. One is for sales, one is for production, and one is for finances. And underneath each vice president, or reporting to each vice president, you have, for example, domestic sales and international sales representatives. For the vice president on production, you have quality control and research and development. And for finances, you have the payroll. In terms of stock ownership, you have common stocks and preferred stocks, and also a combination of both. Common stocks represent the basic ownership of the corporation, and stockholders receive voting rights, and no dividend is received. For preferred stock, dividend is guaranteed. Stockholders receive no voting rights. Stockholders receive dividend before common stockholders, sorry about that, receive theirs. And they receive investment back from before the common stockholders. And the type of both preferred and common ownership certificates in corporations, they are purchased by investors called stockholders or shareholders, and these certificates provide ownership rights. Like with any type of business, we have advantages for corporations and disadvantages for corporations. As advantages, corporations have limited liability. They have unlimited life, depending on how well it's managed. They have an ease of transfer of ownership. They have a greater financial capital, such as bonds, principals, and interest. A bond is a written promise to repay the amount borrowed, with the banks. Principals is the amount that is borrowed, and the interest is the price paid for the use of somebody else's money, like money you borrow from the banks. In terms of disadvantages of corporation, shareholders have little say in running of the business. Corporations sometimes are double taxed, so they face increased taxation. It is difficult to start a corporation because of increased governmental control. So, what type of business would you look into? Why do you think so many business owners are sole proprietors, despite the fact that they hold unlimited liability, like they can lose everything if they lose their business? Well, I think might have something to do with the fact that you have control as business owner over your own business. So you see, sole proprietorships constitute 71.9% of all businesses in the United States, corporations 20.2%, and partnerships only 7.9%. So partnerships even though they have more sales and better profit, they're fewer. So anyway, when it comes to governments and business regulations, federal and state regulations are involved with utility rates and interest rates. A state may offer industrial development bonds to help industries to bring more business in the state, and business can relocate or tax credits that are given by a particular state can invite investors and businesses. So how about the growth of the business? A business can grow in one of the two ways. One, it can grow by reinvesting some of its profits when you put your income back into the business, the profit income. A business can also expand by engaging in a merger or a combination of two or more businesses to form a single firm. So, how does a business grow through reinvestment? Businesses reinvest through investment in factories, in machineries, in technologies. So this way they can grow their business, they can produce more, hire more hands, and so forth. But before they reinvest, they must estimate the cash flow. So you have here a figure on how the cash flow is been calculated, and so that they know whether it is good to put more money into the business or not to grow it. Another type of business growth is through mergers. So what is a merger? It means that one business gives up its separate legal identity to the benefit of another. So companies that merge, they do so to grow faster, to become more efficient, to acquire or deliver a better product, to eliminate a rival, and to change its image. So there are many benefits and that convince businesses to join together. So there are several types of mergers: so-called horizontal mergers, vertical mergers, conglomerates, and multinationals. What is a horizontal merger? A horizontal merger, it means that firms that make the same product become one, they join. For example, let's hypothetically assume that GM joins Chrysler and they form a new company. A vertical merger means that the firms that join this type of merger involve different stage. They're involved in different stage of manufacturing or marketing something. So one firm is cutting the trees, the other one moves the wood, and the third one makes something with that wood, so to speak. So they merge and they become one, so that they will take a product da capo al fine, from the beginning to the end, to the buyer. Also, another type of business growth is the so-called conglomerate merger. A conglomerate is a business composed of 4 or more businesses. Businesses could be unrelated products. One may produce faucets for the kitchen, the other one may produce paper clips, and so forth. So no one are responsible for a majority of sales. So basically, it's like a store where you can find everything. So so that you will attract more customers that way. A different type of business growth is to go beyond the borders of a country, to become a multinational corporation with manufacturing and service operations in several countries. One of the advantages is that you can find cheaper labor or less expensive um, products that you need to make your own, but you become subject to each nation's business regulation. So in this type of businesses, it is important to keep in mind several key terms. What is a cooperative? What is net income? What is depreciation? What is multinational, vertical merger? So these are standard terms that I would strongly encourage you to go over several times to make sure you understand them, unless you already do. Now, in terms of businesses that represent community and civic organizations, you have cooperative organizations, you have labor organizations, professional organizations, business organizations, and even government organizations. So community and civic organizations, they are mostly non-profit organizations, such as businesses created to promote its members' collective interest and not to seek financial gain. So they join forces to do something that is in the public interest, such as a school is in the public interest, a non-profit organization that teaches people how to live in peace with their neighbors. So these are also churches are non-profit organizations. So in terms of cooperatives, these are voluntary associations of people who carry on an economic activity that benefits its members. You have consumer cooperatives, service cooperatives, and producer cooperatives. Consumer cooperatives deal in goods and benefits which provide to their their members lower prices. Service cooperatives, they provide services such as insurance, credit, and babysitting to its members rather than goods. You also have producer cooperatives, which help its members to promote or sell their products, like farmers, let's say. But we also have labor, professional, and business organizations. You see some logos, National Council of Social Service, the Voice of Small Businesses, Better Business Bureau, associations of educators, and so forth. So what is a labor union? A labor union is an organization that represents workers' interests to negotiate with management through collective bargaining. Professional associations set standards for those in the profession and influence government policies on issues that concern their own interest, the interests of their members. You have also business associations, which are industries or trade associations that represent specific businesses. Now, what about the government? The government has a direct role in business, indirect role, and has its own corporation. So the direct role in business that government has is that agencies produce and distribute goods and services to consumers, such as TVA, or U.S. Postal Services. Indirect role regulates public utilities and grants money to people in form of social security or student financial aid. You have also government corporations that have boards of directors, but Congress money rather than investors' money to support their work. Now, you should revise using the textbook and also the study guide. You should look to make sure you understand what nonprofit organizations are, what cooperatives are, what labor unions are, what collective bargaining means, and also what professional associations are.